Here are three early bets for college football week 6. First up, I like North Carolina plus 2.5 against Pittsburgh. I'm not so sure that Pittsburgh should be a favorite here on the road. Yes, all of their offensive metrics look great, but when you dig in, a lot of that is because they put up over 70 points against Youngstown State and then over 50 points against Kent State in the opener. Eli Holstein is a turnover waiting to happen. He has 8 turnover-worthy plays in 4 games, and his lone road start against Cincinnati, he was terrible. He had a 38.9 PFF passing grade in that game. Pittsburgh has been doing a good job running the football, but against West Virginia, Desmond Reed got completely shut down. And North Carolina has basically only had one bad game against James Madison. Other than that, they've been doing a really effective job of stopping the run, ranking 28th in rushing success rate allowed. North Carolina has made a change at quarterback to Jacoby Criswell, who has been okay in his 2 starts. He's averaging 8 yards per attempt, but he's been really good in play action situations. He has an 82.3 PFF passing grade in those type of situations. And it all comes down to Amarian Hampton from North Carolina, their running back. He's been really good, averaging 5.8 yards per carry and has 20 rushes of over 10 yards. So if North Carolina is able to run the ball here against Pittsburgh, who gave well over 4 yards per carry against both Cincinnati and West Virginia, that will set up the play action for Criswell against a Pittsburgh secondary that is 107th in EPA per pass allowed. So I like the value here on North Carolina plus 2.5 at home. Next up, I like San Jose State minus 7 against Nevada. San Jose State's passing attack has been really good with Emmett Brown because he's been doing a great job of throwing the ball deep. He has 12 big-time throws on passes over 20 yards, and he has an 88.8 PFF passing grade on those attempts as well. He has one of the best wide receivers in college football right now in Nick Nash, who has gone over 100 yards receiving in 3 of his 4 games and has an 89.4 PFF receiving grade, which is the 3rd best mark in college football. Nevada is 93rd in the country in EPA per pass allowed. So San Jose State's passing attack should have a lot of success. Nevada's offense is built on running the football. They're running it on 57% of their offensive plays, and overall for the season, their rushing attack has been all right. But when it gets shut down, that's when the problems come in, because against Minnesota, they only averaged 1.9 yards per carry, and that meant that Brendan Lewis, their quarterback, had to throw the ball at a high rate downfield, and he ended up having 4 turnover-worthy plays and only had 115 yards passing. San Jose State has been top 40 in terms of rushing success rate allowed, but not only that, passing success rate allowed. So I have some real concerns here of how Nevada's offense is just going to keep up with San Jose State. So I like the value on the Spartans here at home at minus 7. Next up, I like Minnesota plus 9.5 against USC. I think this line's a little too high here for the Trojans. You know, they played one true road game this season at the Big House, and Miller Moss really wasn't that impressive. He attempted over 50 passes, barely completed over 50% of those, and averaged only 5.5 yards per attempt. Yes, they broke off some big plays, but overall, he really wasn't that impressive. And also, the USC rushing attack hasn't been that good either. You know, Woody Marks, he had a couple good games to begin the season, but the last 2 games, I know he got 100 yards against Michigan, but that was all on one 65-yard run. And then against Wisconsin, he was held to 3.3 yards per carry. Minnesota's secondary is elite. They are 3rd in the country in EPA per pass allowed. So if USC is not able to run the ball and they're putting a lot of pressure on Miller Ross on the road, that's not really a good situation. And Minnesota's rushing attack hasn't been good for the last 2 weeks, but that's because they faced 2 of the best run defenses in the country in Michigan and Iowa. Well, they're going to face USC, who, against Michigan, when the entire world knew that Michigan could only run the ball, they allowed Michigan almost run for 300 yards and averaged 6.2 yards per carry. They're 98th in the country in defensive line yards. They're 96th in stuff rate. So Minnesota should have a lot more success on the ground than they've had in the last 2 games. Lincoln Riley, as a road favorite, is 8-18 against the spread lifetime. So I like the value on Minnesota at plus 9.5.